back to some forest machines. Mainly been cleaning, trying to find these small oil leaks, a little coolant leak I'm looking for. So, and I have had the gas cylinder after cleaning things up. It kind of had a little drop hanging, so that I had taken off and cleaned underneath it if it was a little oil residue left there, and so that was put back in place. Then it's been near the diesel heater. I suspect the hose here on the back side. It's not really possible, but there has been drops hanging from the bottom, so I put some paper around the pump, the black thing you can see, and then that hose on the back. That was undone when changing the heat exchanger, so, and it felt super stiff and old, so but it's not an easy fix to change that, so that will be tackled later. And I have seen signs of a little crack here near the fuel tank. I've gotten hold of some penetrant crack indicator. Tried spraying that at first, but it matched so much on there and got not a good result, so I ended up using a little brush and putting on applicating that penetration fluid, the red stuff, and then a developer spray was put on top of it, and yes, it seems like there is a small crack here. I have not noticed any diesel leaking out, so I doubt it's all the way through, but does anyone know what material the frame in these machines are made out of? Would be good if getting some help welding that, because I will not do it myself. My dad might tackle it. We will see. I will look at reinforcing this area before I develop a diesel leak here. So, and hopefully it can be done without removing the red hydraulic tank. The connections here can be removed, and maybe the rear tire for better access, but that will be tackled in the future properly. Started looking over the wiring going out to the harvester head. I've had zero issues with it really, but the protection for the first section looks quite bad, so, and it's rooted in kind of an odd way here, so machine was brought out and my dad was swinging it around a little just to see what kind of movement that cable have, and I will reroute it some now, but that will be in a separate video. I did find another small oil leak near the swing damper unit. There are two plugs on there. In the parts manual it looks like the hoses are connected where these plugs sit, but as I understand it, this unit has attachment points both like on the front of it and on the sides, and you can choose where you want to connect the hoses to it simply, and they have them connected now on the sides, and just plug the connections on the front, so I will look at fixing that. Here you can see it's the big plug on the left here that has a leak for sure, and it's also, I felt I had cleaned the top of it good enough, and this little one, it's like I can see a tiny bit of oil coming out, so I will replace all these seals. A little tricky because of that fat hose in front of it, but if you have it's a 12 millimeter hex Allen key required, but if you have those that have like a socket on them, you can usually hammer out the hex part out of them. That's what I did here, and then put a wrench on it if it's a tight access. I did similar things when tackling the bolts holding the crane down that were broken earlier, if you've seen my previous videos. But and then a little bit of a tap. It wasn't on there hard at all, but maybe tightening it up would have helped, but it feels better getting a fresh sealing washer on there. Tried getting one of those yellow oil stoppers in there, but it wasn't really sealing. But not a whole lot of oil came out, so the rags underneath did a fine job. The old sealing washer refused to come undone. Had to get some pliers for that. New seal in place, then the plug could be put back in. Tried tightening it with that socket, but it didn't feel like it had a really good connection. And it was possible to bend the hose out enough to fit a big 12mm Allen key in there, and felt more solid to give that a couple of taps and tighten things up. Replaced or undid the next one also, even if I couldn't see any leak, just to replace the sealing washer on that one also while I was here, and opening things up, preventing a future leak hopefully. Also removed and changed the seal on that small plug on the top. That one I had to drop in the dirt once and clean up before I could get it back into place, but that's the downside of not having a workshop big enough to roll the machine into. But next garage building will be bigger if I ever get around to doing anything more in the future. We'll see. I'll probably need my dad's help if he's around long enough for any more garage structures. Let's finish the old log structure first and see what we can do.